Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, to whatever part of the world that you are in. You are listening to Barbara and Friends on a Mission. My name is Barbara S. Ellison, and you can't say my own name today. Anyways, such is life. Anyways, you know what? I am on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And one of the things for me is that part of happiness is being able to impact the world, to have influence, but to also earn income, because we all have bills to pay. And for me, I'm your personality pro, because I love the fact that I can help people to tweak their messaging. But you know what? I'm not a copywriter. And so today I am so excited to be able to share with you a new friend of mine, Julie Hunt, who is a copywriter. And the thing that really struck me about Julie is that we feel the same way in some things. We're both into personal development. So Julie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Barbara. I'm well, and thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, you are very welcome. So, I always like to get to know people and have them tell us about themselves. So, Julie, how did you get to be doing number one, copywriting? Because I'm going to share one little story with you. When I was in high school, I took a creative writing course, and the teacher looked at me. She said, "Barb, you'll never be a writer."
That's a common story, and it's so wrong.
So yeah, and now I do write copy, and I do like tweaking it, because that's it's now become a vocation for me. But I lived with that stigma for all of those years that I couldn't write. So tell me, how did you get into copywriting?
Well, it's been an interesting journey. Going back to my childhood, even briefly, as I always enjoyed writing, even as a child. And back in third grade, the teacher would ask us to write stories, and I really enjoyed it. And it turned out that the class would be requesting me to write other stories because they found my stories compelling. And I just enjoyed being able to share people's stories in a heartfelt way that was also entertaining, but also meaningful. So throughout my life and throughout different jobs I had in sales, I was always the go-to person. Would you write this copy? And it just sort of evolved naturally to where I thought, I want to do this for a living. I love to communicate. I love to share people's stories, their challenges, and I like to help people. And it went sort of hand in hand with my journey of self-development. For the last 20 years, I've been on a spiritual path where I've explored a lot of healing modalities and just really believe in the power of personal development to change people's lives. So I've basically decided to marry my writing skills with my love of personal development. And that's where I'm at today, is writing for people who are offering transformation to other people.
Right. And isn't that absolutely the truth? We talk about transformation, and yet so often people get stuck in that they don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
Or they don't know how to apply it to their business.
Correct.
So what can you tell us about, because I know you and I have had great conversations just about the way marketing is going right now. Let's be honest, some of the marketing is really good, and some of it,
yeah. Well,
not so good.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that I do that's different than probably 90% of the copywriters out there is I write what I call love-based copy. And love-based copy is, it hones in on positive emotions, positive motivators, because in writing for people who are offering their clients transformation, it feels wrong to be motivating them in a negative way, in a fear-based way that is sort of saying, if you don't do this, then all these horrible things are going to happen to you. I'd like to flip the switch on that and help them to be motivated in a positive way. And much of the direct marketing out there is very fear-based. If you pick up any sales letter, 99% of the time it's, fear of missing out, and this is what's going to happen. And it's very negative. So I'm trying to change that and say we can still sell with an authentic sales message that is not fear-based, not lack-based, not scarcity-based, but abundance-based and filled with hope and filled with possibility. So it may sound a little Pollyanna, but I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on it. People are tired of the in-your-face, pushy, fear-based copy that's out there.
Okay, well then, for those of our audience that are not, I mean, like, because those are things that you and I talk about all the time, but can you give us an example of a landing page or a copy that is fear-based? What would be the languaging that those kinds of things would be using?
Well, normally the languaging focuses right off the bat with pain points. And although it is good to identify your audience pain points, you don't want to do what we call twist the knife. You want to bring an awareness to they have a problem, they're very motivated to find a solution, but you don't want to twist the knife and really make them feel bad. And a lot of the copy out there, it gets stuck in, oh, look how badly I feel. And it's not offering solutions. It's basically saying, sign up with me and I'll get rid of that for you. And I don't think that's very authentic. So I'm trying to change that.
Right. Because, and so much of that, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. And you and I have talked about this, is that so much of that is like, are you, or do you have back pain?
And one of the things that I really, really dislike, and it's very prevalent in a lot of marketing, is that timer, where they'll have a timer on their site. And so there's a fear-based tactic right there. And you see the clock ticking down. And if you don't buy it right now, then you're letting yourself down. And it's all hypey. I just don't like the pushiness of it.
Right. And one of the things, and this is my own personal experience. One of the things that, because there have been many times over the years that I have given into that. Absolutely.
I have too. And
absolutely.
It does work.
It does work.
In certain markets, that works. Yeah. But because I'm writing for personal development, I feel that there's a real disconnect there. When you're offering hope and transformation and positive life changes, it feels very slimy to try and get the sale in a way that's not authentic. It's saying, it's preying on your fear rather than motivating you in a positive way to make those changes.
And one of the things that I have finally realized is that, there'll be another widget. Like if you're buying a widget and you've got this fear-based that, oh, I'm going to miss out on this widget. You know what? There's going to be another widget coming along next week.
Well, that's
another month.
The other thing too, you brought up a good point there. There's a lot of times where people will be selling a digital product. Yeah. So you and I and everybody knows that product has already been created. And so again, the scarcity messaging is like, oh, it's going to go away and you'll never be able to access it again. And that's not true. I mean, it's selling under a false pretense, I think. Yeah. So I'm on a mission to change that and make it more positive. And we also have to be willing to say, maybe our product or our service isn't for everyone, and that's okay.
And that's okay too.
We don't have to force the wrong people into our programs. If it's not a fit for them, wish them well and let them go, because the people that are attracted to your message and your offering will join you. And there's no need to force everybody into your product that is not necessarily a fit for it.
When I can look back, I'm going to tell on myself. Because I totally believe in being authentic. I have a list on the side of my refrigerator of all the courses that I have bought that I've done nothing with.
Oh, yes.
Because it was one of those. And, some of them were, like $29, absolutely. Right. But some of them were substantially more.
Yes. And that's very brave of
self-help.
Yeah,
They're shelf help. And so often because we get, don't you find that we get into buying something because it's the shiny, and you and I have talked about this,
absolutely.
the shiny object syndrome. And then all of a sudden we buy it, we get it, it's past the expiration date of when you can return it. And
Right,
then it's like, oh, I'm not ready for this. This is
right.
something beyond my expertise. I'm not ready for it.
Yeah.
Several of the ones on my list are like that. And yet now that I've gone back to them, they're obsolete.
That's the thing, and you know, it's brave of you to admit that. I admit that I have fallen prey to that too, because again, the timer and the fear of missing out is very
Yeah.
strong for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and so marketers know this, and they are basically selling with fear. You need to get this. If you don't, you're not going to go anywhere. And I just think that whole messaging is inauthentic, and it's bringing people to you that may not be ready for what you have to offer, or they're
Right.
just not a good fit. And wouldn't we all rather spend our time working with clients who get what we're saying, who
Right.
are on board with being authentic,
Right.
selling with integrity, and that means being willing to let people go that are not a fit for you, and that's
Right.
okay. That's
And
okay.
that, exactly. And that's one of the things. One day, a friend of mine and I, one of my mentors, when we were talking, and I said, and she said, well, you're limiting yourself. And I said, well, yes, exactly. I want to work with heart-centered entrepreneurs.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
who I want. That's who I want to work with. Now, within there, I mean, I love the different people that have come to me, but they're heart-centered.
Exactly.
That's the main issue for me. I want somebody to be heart-centered, and they
Right.
can be, like I'm a personality science trainer, so I work with all the personalities, and I love them. They're fun because the blueprints are very traditional, and the knowledge people, they are the data, but they can still be heart-centered because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and when you can put that into how you do business. Like I'm reading a book right now, and it's called Love is Damn Good Business by Steve Farber. And the subtitle is Love What You Do in the Service of People Who Love What You Do.
Hmm, that's interesting.
And oh, it is just a fascinating book. And the thing is that one of the things that I share with people so often is that there are 7 billion people on this planet. There's no shortage of people who think the way that you do.
Exactly. And so we're both on a mission to find that. And again, it comes back to what you do, Barbara, making happiness the norm rather than the
Right.
exception.
Yeah.
We are all striving for happiness. We all want to
Right.
feel fulfilled and
Right.
purpose driven. And the way to help us feel that is not through fear. It's not through shame or any of the what I call
Yeah.
the lower vibration emotions that
Right.
just make people feel deflated,
Mhm.
desperate. That is not who you
Yeah.
want to work with.
Right. Or that there's something like for so many years, I can always think to myself, and we hear this all the time, is what's wrong with me?
Right.
There is
Nothing's wrong with you.
nothing wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you. And it was so funny because one day I was talking to the co-host of one of my other shows, and I happened to say, if you have thought it, if you have felt it, then somebody else has also thought and felt the same thing that you are thinking and feeling right now.
I agree. I
Well,
agree.
he has taken that statement, and it's like he said, Barbara, you wouldn't believe how often that I have shared that out with people, because he said it made me realize that we are all in this together. And so we're looking for the people who think and feel the way we do, and we can
Exactly.
help them because we have done what they're going through right now. The
Correct.
other people who are not going through what we're going through are not going to be attracted to it.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's absolutely the truth.
And it's about the vibration that you put out too. You put out positivity, you put out hopefulness, and all of the um, feelings that are positive, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're going to attract back to you, because I really believe that if you're putting out fear and negativity, you're going to attract fearful, negative
right.
people.
And you might have 1 million people on your list, but how many lives are you actually transforming?
Right. So I'm on a mission. Coaching is huge right now, and there are so many coaches out there that have wonderful programs, but the way they're marketing them, I think, could be more heart-centered, could attract in a more authentic way the people that they're really meant to serve.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that is a sub niche of my niche that I'm very interested in right now, is helping coaches to get their wonderful messages out to the right people.
Right. And to not be afraid to put their stuff out there.
Yeah. And to not be afraid of who they are, because people, again, don't resonate with who you are. That's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make them a bad person. It's just not a vibrational match. And we don't give everything to everybody. Like, no.
That's where it comes back to, there's 7 billion people on this planet.
Right. So even if you had just a small handful of those people, you'd have more work than you would ever.
Than you could ever possibly imagine.
Exactly.
And that's why sometimes when the scarcity messages, it's like, yeah, no.
I'm sure you could pick up something right now. You could find something where you read it and think, oh, this is so slimy. It just doesn't feel good to me when I read this. You sense that there's
a disconnect between how my, it's it's like, even sometimes, even some of the messaging that comes across, like on the radio and stuff, it's like, ooh, no, I don't like that.
Right.
And or the TV commercials, it's like, oh, turn that one off.
Right.
Because I don't want to see it. And like, people say to me, oh, well, did you watch this in this show? No, I did not watch that show. Oh, well, gee, well, how come? It's all about, it's like, no, not something that I'm going to watch. Well, just because I don't want all that negativity coming into my sphere.
Exactly. And that's a good point too. I'm very careful about what I let into my mind. I don't watch the nightly news.
I don't watch news.
And it doesn't mean that I'm not educated about what's going on in the world, but I choose to focus on positivity. There's so much negativity in the world. We don't need more of it in our marketing. We don't need more of it in our coaching. We need more connection, authentic integrity. Yeah.
And and authentic communication. That's like one of the things I said to a friend of mine the other day. She said something about, I can't remember what it was about that. And I went, really? I said, oh, okay, no, that's not something that I watch.
Right.
And then, but it was like, well, what about it was on the news. I said, if I figure if it is of major proportions, it'll show up somewhere on Facebook that I will hear a little glimmer. And then, then maybe I might go look at it because it's something, but these little negative things that are constant.
Yeah. No,
I don't want them in my vibration.
No, and the thing is too, when you are a happy person yourself, you're able to help your clients to recognize where they could be happier if they were filtering more of their experience.
Right, and that's you and I totally think alike, because sometimes I will say, what are you watching? What was it? Write down the last 5 things that you watched on TV, or last 5 things that or the last 5 podcasts that you listened to, or the last 5, whatever it is that they're into, because we all have different things that we like to listen to.
Right.
But I like to listen to podcasts from like Dan McPherson. Dreams Are Real.
Mm-hmm.
And he has real life people on. Yeah. And some of the situations are really tough situations that people have overcome. Right. But the overall premise of it is that dreams are real.
And that happiness can be achieved.
That you can, and happiness is not just the ho, 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 ho all the time. But it's that, to me, it's that underlying joy. That, that right now, I might be in a valley in my life right now, but you know what? The mountaintops are still in front of me. And that's where I can go. or right now you might be feeling like, one of the analogies that I absolutely love is that we have valleys, we have mountains, but in between is the plain. You know,
Right.
I live out in corn country. This is flat ground. It's corn country. And all you see for miles sometimes is fields of produce, corn and soybeans and whatever. But there's not one mountain in sight. And so we have these valleys that are painful, and how am I going to survive this? But then we have the mountains that where we are euphoric that, wow, yay, on the top of the mountain.
Exactly.
But the in between is the plains. And the plain once in a while can be mundane. And we're just going along. And instead of just enjoying the journey of going along, enjoy the journey of going along, going through the plain.
It's very true. It's very true.
Rather than getting stuck, no, it's not stuck. Rather than not letting go of the painful parts.
Right.
Like this year is the 10-year anniversary of my husband passing away. It's a little tough. Today I've shed some tears over it. It's 10 years that he's been gone.
Oh, that's hard.
And yet I still see the mountain ahead of me that I'm going to be able to help people, because we're doing a grief summit next week.
Oh, nice.
On helping people to deal with grief. And so that's bringing me joy. And so even this morning when we were talking about some of the things that we're going to do, so it's going to be a live cast next week. And I'm so excited about it. And that people are going to be able to join it and get the replays.
It's very important to be able to deal with grief because
dealing with the grief. And so, just enjoy the plane of your life. But you can
try to be happy. And when you are happy, your happiness helps other people to see.
Right. And so often people say, well, how do you do that? Well, it's a choice.
Yes.
Like with me, when I wake up in the morning, number one, okay, can we talk about morning routine for a second?
Sure.
Because I know you have one. I wake up in the morning, do not ever pick up your phone.
Okay.
And to look at emails and Messenger. Don't do that. If you are going to pick up your phone, put on something that is positive. Mm-hmm. Like I go into my Bible app. I pick up my phone, but I go into my Bible app. Mm-hmm. And I listen to something that's uplifting and something that's going to start my day off well.
Right.
Not react to an email that somebody has sent me about that they need something now.
Right, because then you're in business mode. And what I do in the morning is probably what many people watching do. I get up and I religiously, I try as many days as possible to name 5 things I'm grateful for. As I'm having my coffee, before I'm checking work emails or getting gone into the workday. I think of what I'm grateful for, and that gratitude just lifts you out of, instead of thinking about, oh, what isn't working? Oh, I wish I had more business, or I this or that. No, I anchor in what is working well and what can I keep doing to get these good feelings, keep these good feelings.
Right.
And that's what I do.
Right. Yeah. And that's me too. Cause that's the second thing with me. I go into my Bible because that's my devotions. And then it's my gratitude list. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, that gratitude list, I don't care if the only thing you're grateful for right at that moment is your pillow.
Right. But we always have something to be grateful for.
Because we always have something to be grateful for.
Absolutely.
And when you can start your day in gratitude, and for me in prayer and in Bible reading, and to listen to something that's uplifting, that starts your day. Because then what happens in the rest of your day, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, fine. And then you can remember, hey, this is what I was grateful for first thing this morning.
Right. And when things get tough, and I had a day like that yesterday, I'll be transparent. I was feeling like, oh, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. And what I have learned to do when I feel like that is I don't force anything.
No.
Then I felt compelled to go and read my Brene Brown book that I'm reading, and she's very uplifting.
Yeah.
Her style, I don't know
Oh,
if
I
you've
love
read her
her.
books, but she's amazing. And just reading a couple of chapters of Brene's book brought me out of that funk. And I thought, I did a pivot. I thought, no,
Right.
things are fine, everything's fine. But
Yeah.
I don't force things to happen if they're feeling stressful to me. I
Right.
redirect my attention somewhere else, and
Right.
9 times out
And
of 10, I'm back in my happy space.
and then right, and then come back to it. I had one of those days last week where it was what's wrong with me that I can't get this?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it was a tech issue.
Oh yeah.
What's wrong with me that I can't get this?
We can
And
relate.
and then it was like, Barbara, stop.
Yeah.
I call it my stop, wait, and listen.
Yeah.
Stop. Because if you try to continue right now, you are just going to get more and more and more frustrated.
Spiral. You spiral.
You're going to spiral down into worse.
Yeah.
So stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then wait. Get quiet.
Yep. That's what I do too. I actually get quiet and I ask my higher self, or whatever you want to refer to it, what would feel
And
good
then
to me
listen.
right now? What feels
Right.
good? What should I do? And
Right.
immediately I got, read Brene's book.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
don't question it and say, why am I getting a message to read her book? I
Right.
just do it. I follow
Just
that
do it.
intuitive knowing,
Yeah.
and it works. Listening to intuition,
Yeah.
so important. So important.
Exactly. And and that's what this show is all about too, is giving people that tip. And this might be the first time you're hearing it. Like with me, I work with my clients. Stop, wait, listen. 3 steps. That's it. Stop, wait, listen to no matter what's going on around you. If you're feeling that sense of anxiety and that sense of where your stomach is churning and you are just and getting more and more, okay, stop.
Breathe.
Breathe. That's the wait part. Sit down and breathe. 3 to start with. If you have to do more than that, awesome. Be accepting of it. Because then you're going to be in a spot to be able to listen.
Right.
And until you get to that, you're just going to spin your wheels and get more and more upset. And then you can't figure out why everybody around you is saying, what's wrong with you? Why are you being so...
No, and I think too, for many of us mature women, I'll say it that way, we weren't raised with a lot of the tech stuff that my 20-something daughters.
Exactly.
They're my tech team. If I have a question, I can go to them. We weren't raised with this, so we're coming to this later in life, trying to learn all these new concepts to keep our business current. And it's natural to feel overwhelmed because it doesn't come naturally to us.
Right.
And when we get in those spots, like you said, where you feel like I'm going to spiral because I'm so frustrated, do something else. And when you come back to it, like I will be coming back to this today, what was keeping me sort of stuck yesterday. Now I've got new ideas about it, and I'm coming to it with a reverence.
Right.
Instead of dread.
Wow.
Yeah.
So right. And with me, I come to it with a wow, I get to do this.
Right.
I get this. What I'm working on right now is going to potentially impact thousands of people around the world.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. That's an awesome feeling.
Around the world. It's not just in my own little corner. And we all have that opportunity.
For sure.
We all have that opportunity. So it's just amazing. But anyways, I don't want to keep you forever. So Julie, how can people get in touch? Okay, well, no, let me back up for a second. What has been one of your biggest lessons?
I think my biggest lesson, particularly in my copywriting journey, is to be true to myself. In full transparency, when I started copywriting over 20 years ago, I was a generalist, and what I call a generalist. So any client that came to me, I wrote for them. So if it was a realtor, if it was a home builder, if it was a dentist, it didn't matter. And I enjoyed writing about different subjects, but I always felt like this isn't truly what I want to write about. I want to write about transformation. I want to write about things that really help people to live meaningful lives. And so when I changed my focus, became true to what I'm interested in and what I feel I'm here to help people with, everything changed for me. I started attracting the right people. I started, repelling the people that weren't right for me. Repel is a bit of a strong word, but you know what I mean.
Right.
I let the people who weren't a fit for me go on their way, and I wish them well. I don't have ill will towards anyone. So being true to myself, learning to, and like the book I'm reading right now is Brave the Wilderness by Brene, and she talks about, our sense of belonging and really being true to ourselves. And it does feel like you're in the wilderness sometimes when,
Right.
and in terms of my writing, it's the same way. I feel like everybody else is writing fear-based copy, but I don't want to write fear-based copy. I want to write possibility-based copy. So I'm being true to myself, and that feels great.
Right. And I think we all have life lessons like that. And then and to learn from it and to learn to be ourselves within it.
Right. And be okay with being yourself, that not everyone's going to agree with you or think what you're doing is what they might do. That's okay. You have to stand in your integrity and say, it's right for me. And I'm going to attract the people who really appreciate this style of writing that I'm offering.
Exactly. And that's how I feel too about, with my personality science. And, because we all think differently and we all have a different voice. And yet there's people out there who are going to resonate to our voice.
For sure. And the personality, I put a little plug for you, that personality test. Everybody on this call that's watching this should do it, because it's so 100% accurate.
Yeah. And so revealing.
It reveals, it's like someone got into your soul and said, this is who you are, and you can't disagree with it. It's so spot on.
And for me, one of the things that I do with it too, and that, and I'll put a link to the personality assessment in the show notes. The thing is, one of the things that I have people do is that they'll get their 4 codes, and it's like, okay, pick out the couple of things that make you, why you are that. And it is just so fun to see when people do it. They go, oh yeah, well, that's why I do that. And it's just, and it's fun. So I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Yes.
I did enjoy it. But anyway, you wanted to know how people could get in touch with you.
Yes.
If you go to heartwiredcopy.com.
I love that name, by the way, Heartwired.
Heartwired instead of hardwired. We're Heartwired. So heartwiredcopy.com, and there's a contact form. If you want to fill in the contact form, I will happily send you my freebie that I have, which is regarding the basics you should have in your sales funnel. So I'm happy to chat with anyone. If you need any tips, I'm always available to give advice. And cool. I welcome anyone to contact me who wants to write copy in a different way, wants to get their message out in a different way.
Right. Yeah. And to be authentic. And I think that is so, some people are overusing it, but when you get somebody who really is using it in their personal space, you can tell.
And the thing too is when we communicate with integrity, we welcome people to be their authentic selves and say, hey, you are welcome here to be exactly who you are. You don't have to follow what everybody else is doing. If this resonates with you, let's work together. Let's let's get your message out in a way that feels like you. Right. Not a slimy sales pitch, but it feels like you authentically wanting to help people.
Right. Exactly. Well, Julie, this has been such a blessing. Well, thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for coming on today. I love the fact that I have friends who feel the same way that I do. And that's one. I do. Yeah. One of the reasons I started this show. And if you had told me 6 months ago that I would do this, I would have told you were nuts. But now it is just so fun to see the people who feel the way that I do. That
Well,
I want to help.
You're attracting them by your energy is attracting the people that you're meant
That I wanted, that we're on a mission to make a difference in the world,
exactly,
to have impact and to have influence, but also to earn income.
Yes, that's always nice.
That's all we all have bills to pay.
Oh yes,
we all have bills to pay, but why not do it in a fun way? That's
exactly.
something that just really aligns with who you are. And
exactly.
so that's me. So yeah, because I'm your personality pro, because personality drives reality. And hey, on a mission to make a difference in the world. So if you feel the same way, come and join us. Reach out to us. Feel free to join, to leave a comment below. This is going out onto the Book of Face and onto YouTube. So we'll talk to you soon, and have an awesome day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Julie. This was great.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.